right, let's go ahead and get started. So again, welcome to this online webinar for MindTap called A Part of Their World, A Student's Experience. So just a couple of details before we get started. This is being recorded, so about a week later after this, you'll get a link to this recording. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please put them in the chat box and send them to everyone. So Keith is going to moderate or monitor the chat box for questions so we can answer them during the webinar. So before we get started, we'll introduce you to our presenters today. So I am Lauren McMahon. I am the marketing coordinator here at Cengage Learning. And Keith, did you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yes, thank you, Lauren. I'm Keith Sisson. I'm a faculty partner with Cengage Learning and also the Graduate Studies Coordinator here at the University of Memphis. And in addition to that, and in particular what I'm going to speak to today is the fact that I'm also the Director of Tennessee eCampus, which is an online campus collaborative with the higher ed institutions here in the state of Tennessee, and I represent the University of Memphis on that collaborative. And so what I'll be talking about is how I use the MindTap product throughout the courses that we have in the Tennessee eCampus program. And thank you all for joining us.
Awesome. So if you're on right now, if you wanted to enter into the chat box, just how long you've been teaching, where you teach, and how long you've been using MindTap, if you are using it right now, that would be awesome, just so we can get to know everyone. So the objectives today, I will talk about the mobile app for students. Then we'll talk about study tools within MindTap, so flashcards, Study Hub, Read Speaker, and then we'll look at assignments in MindTap as well. So before we get into MindTap, I'll talk about the MindTap mobile app. So this is available on Android and Apple products, and it's only available for students. So the MindTap mobile app, it was built according to research with students to determine how mobile access could most benefit them. So we know that a lot of students are always on their phones, which is really helpful for what we've built. So they have the ability to get flashcards, so they have instant access to pre-made flashcards specific to their course, and they can also create their own flashcards so they can meet their own needs. Another option that is available for students are notifications. So, for example, if a student's out and about and they're out at a party or something and they get a notification from their teacher, oh, hey, your assignment is due tomorrow, FYI, then they can realize that they have to finish their homework instead of being out at a party. So it was able to help them remember important dates and different messages. So if you, as an instructor, send out a message to them, they will see that right on their phone. They can see
Lauren,
due date reminders, changes to activity due dates, score updates, and then any comments as well. Keith,
Lauren,
did you have a comment for that?
Yes, I just wanted to say, to echo what you're saying, that especially sending out those reminders, I can just tell you from both student evaluations and anecdotal feedback that students really do use the mobile app, especially for the reminders and the due dates and to check their grades. In my capacity as Tennessee eCampus Director, I also do a lot of research into the use of mobile apps in teaching and learning across the educational spectrum from first grade all the way through graduate school. And one of the things that we have seen, a trend that we have seen over the past really 5 years, but increasingly over the past 2 years, is the students' use of these mobile apps because they don't check their emails often, as they should perhaps. They don't read through them all the time. And if they're using an LMS, a learning management system, for an entirely online program, they probably log into that fewer times a week than they should. So because this app has the functionality for instructors to send those reminders, it goes straight to the student's mobile device, and it's just a fantastic way to keep students abreast of what is due.
Exactly. It's very helpful for them to know what's going on in their day-to-day life. So also on top of the flashcards and any notifications and messages, they also have the ability to do quizzes. So they can access the pre-built quizzes, or they can generate a self-quiz from any of the flashcard decks. So we've seen that through student surveys that if they can do a gamified quiz so it looks more like a game, it's going to be a more valued feature. So very helpful in this MindTap mobile app. So again, it's good for Android or Apple products, and it's just for students right now. So that's the MindTap mobile app. So we'll go into MindTap right now. So when students log into Cengage Brain, this is what they'll see. This is their My Home. And then as soon as they have a text that they want to get into, they just click open here on the right. And then this is what will pull up for them. This is what the MindTap will look like. So before I get started into the study tools and assignments, what you're seeing right now is the new MindTap UX. So you're going to notice it's a lot brighter and more modern than what the current UX is right now. So to give you a timeline, so in March of this year, instructors only will have the option to turn this new UX on or off. So again, that's only for instructors, and if you turn it on, that will not affect your students. So during the week, if you're turning it on and off, they won't see that on their MindTap course as well. So that's in March. And then in June, this new MindTap UX is going to be turned on for everyone, so students and instructors. So very exciting. We're looking forward to that, and I hope you guys are too. So here's their course. So when a student logs in, let me X out of this. They also have some help features throughout. So if they want to look at this drop-down, there's some options here for them if they have questions, so they're not always coming to you, which I know Keith and I talked about. That's a big hassle for instructors sometimes. And
yes,
then also,
indeed. I'm sorry. I was just going to say that I'm sure my fellow faculty members will agree that the last thing that we want to do is field technical questions. We are far more interested in making sure the students learn what they need to in any given class. So the more help functions that these LMS systems can build in, the better, not only for the professor, but really most importantly for the student, because they can get instant help rather than waiting for a professor to reply to an email or something along those lines.
Exactly. So there are these different help options for them. Again, this drop down. And then throughout the MindTap, it'll have this question mark here, and it's going to have little things that come over the text so that they can have help with to see what they're looking at. So that's the different help features. So for students, we'll first look at 3 different views that they have. So we'll look at that up here. And this is going to be just like the views that you have as an instructor. So this week view right here, this is going to show students what's going to be due each week so they can go back and forth. So here, week 20, see the date range, and they'll see what's due and what day it's due and what time. So the next view we'll look at is unit view. And this is going to be the learning path for students. This is where students can see if you've added anything into the learning path or also the e-reader. So here's all the different chapters. Students can open them up. And then this is, again, where you have that ability as an instructor to add different things into this e-reader and learning path, so different activities. And then the last view we'll look at is list or due date view. And this is where they're going to see every assignment and when that assignment is due. So very helpful if they just want to do an overview and see what they have to finish and complete. So those are the 3 views. So we'll go back and look at unit view. So I'm going to open up the e-reader, which is going to be noted by this book icon on the left here. So if we open that up, as a student, I'm going to have the ability to have the text read to me through Read Speaker. So there's a couple options for them to do this. This little icon up here, it says person talking. They can click that and it'll read the whole page aloud. They also have the ability to highlight a section, so if they want to do a couple sentences, they can have read text right there, and it'll read what they've highlighted. So very helpful if English is a second language. Keith, do you want to talk about this? I think we're excited about this feature.
Yes, this is a very nice feature. And let me tell you that one of the things my office has been dealing with over the past year is ADA compliance. And I am happy to say that MindTap is, if not fully ADA compliant, almost fully ADA compliant with a timeline in place to be fully ADA compliant. This is something that every state is going to have to deal with, every institution. And so the fact that we have we have digital learning companies as partners who can do this sort of thing takes the onus of the burden off of instructional designers, but more importantly off of faculty who are building courses so that they don't have to necessarily worry about that. So that's the one aspect of that, is that you can also accommodate people learn in different ways. I know there's some literature out there that says there are no learning styles, but I think each student will have their own way of learning, let's put it that way. And the more options you can give them, things like closed captioning or if it reads it aloud, and there are also some functions up there for increasing or decreasing the size of the font. All of these things are, these functions are geared toward making sure that these products are ADA compliant, and so that students do not have to, those that have certain challenges do not have to struggle with those as they would have in the past. The ability to highlight is fantastic. You know, in the past, students would highlight a text and then sell it back. And it was kind of funny because I think there's even a joke that you never want to buy a used textbook because the highlights might be wrong. In other words, the person who owned the book before might have highlighted the wrong thing. The point is that this is highly customizable for each student experience. And I think that's one of the things that students really love about these learning management systems, is that they can customize it for themselves as well. It's not just on the faculty side, it's on the student side as well. And that is very important to the student experience. I can tell you again, from both evaluations, you know, quantitative data and anecdotal feedback, qualitative data, that this is the case.
Yeah, very helpful. So, yeah, you touched on highlighting, so I'll show how they can do that. Very simple. So if they want to highlight a sentence, all they have to do is highlight it with their mouse, and then this little black box on the right here pops up, so then they have the option to highlight it a certain color. They can go check the dictionary out. They can add a note. Again, here's where they can choose read text, or they could also create their own flashcard. So we'll go ahead and highlight it pink, and then this is where, let me make a flashcard for one of them too. So if you choose add flashcard, the flashcard app's going to pop up on the right here, and then as soon as they do this, this will pop up in their study hub and in the flashcards app. So students can also print these flashcards, which is very helpful if they're on the go. If they don't want to take their computers with them, they're able to do that. So here's where they can choose print current deck. And all the key terms in the text, so these blue highlighted underlined words, are going to show up in the flashcards as well, which is super helpful for studying. They don't necessarily need to make their own flashcards. They have pre-populated flashcards as well.
One other thing I wanted to say, Lauren, about the highlighting feature is that I like the fact that, and she and I talked about this yesterday, the fact of that there are different colors available. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me that what students can do with that feature is select one color if they feel they've mastered that particular bit of content, and select another color if maybe I should come back to this at a later date and go over this. And so it gives them the opportunity again to customize it according to their own particular way of learning. And again, the ability to customize is just very, very valuable for these students.
Exactly. And they can also make a note as well. So if they add note here, this little, looks like a Post-it will pop up. So we can put midterm, save it. And what's awesome, so as an instructor in the e-reader, you can make your own highlights and notes within the text, and you can also share those with the students. So what we're seeing here in orange is what, as an instructor, has shared with me in the e-reader. So this is what's going to pop up for students. So this is what my instructor shared. So this is the note that they shared, and it says, know this for exam, which is awesome because now I definitely know I need to study this. And then the orange highlight is what my instructor highlighted in the e-reader. So you also have that option as well, which is very helpful for students studying.
And it should at least decrease the number of times you get asked, will this be on the exam?
Yeah, I know I did that a lot. So all of these notes, highlights, flashcards I said would go in the Study Hub. So this is an awesome app for studying for students. We'll open this up, and the different options they have are study guides, so they can create their own study guides. It should be done here. And I'll open one up. So what's going to show up are their highlights that they did, the instructor's highlights, so what was in orange, any key terms within the text, so those will show up automatically, their notes, instructor notes, and any flashcards they made themselves. So super helpful if they're studying for an exam. So they also have the notes and highlights. So we'll open up chapter 1 and the section that we were in, and you'll see everything that I highlighted shows up here. So here's my instructor notes and highlights, and then the notes and highlights that I put on this page here. And then the last thing that they have in this study hub is called bookmark. So each page has this bookmark option here. So they can bookmark this if they want to come back, like, oh, I need to go and work out. Oh, I need to go and help tutor a friend. I need to know what place I left off in. So they can bookmark it here, and they can easily find the place that they stopped at. Did you want to comment
one thing that I have built into my course again, what we have in Tennessee and what I'm talking about today is a completely online class, but these functions are applicable and beneficial regardless of method of delivery, whether it's a hybrid, a completely on-campus course, or online. And just one of the things I wanted to say is that on the MindTap side of my course, so I have two sides. I have the MindTap side and the LMS that we use here in Tennessee, and I have the study guide for each module on both the in the MindTap side and on the module breakdown on the LMS side, because I'm a firm believer, and research will back this up, that the more places you have the same information for students, the better, because some will want to access it on the MindTap side, some may want to access it on the LMS side. Giving them the ability to have the same information in multiple places is key to student retention and success.
Yeah, the more times you see something, the more likely you are to remember it.
That's right. Absolutely.
So do you have anything else you want to talk about with these study tools, Keith? I just wanted the dictionary last.
One of the things that I do at the very beginning of class, and I'm sure that most faculty will do something similar, is to go over all of this. You know, when you go the first day of class, you go over the syllabus, you set your expectations, but what a lot of professors or instructors will not do is to go over the technical side of things, and for various reasons. But that is a wonderful time to go over not only how to navigate MindTap, which is highly intuitive, and there are plenty of PowerPoints and other guides out there presented by Cengage to help students, and faculty too for that matter, but to let them know on the front end about that study hub is something that I think they will go back to again and again throughout the semester. And so sort of like voting in Chicago, early and often I would reinforce the vast resources that MindTap offers, but especially regarding that study hub.
Yes, definitely. So a last thing that I want to touch on for the study tools is the dictionary app. So on the right-hand side under this apps drop down here, they can look up words. So again, they can do it over here. So if there's a word they don't know, again, they can click on dictionary and it'll pull up for them. This is super helpful, I think, for making sure students don't wander off maybe to a social networking site. It lets them stay in MindTap and lets them keep reading, keep studying, keep doing the assignment. So everything is in one place. They don't have to venture out and find a dictionary on Google, because we know Google leads you to a bunch of other places.
And let me just follow up on that. I could not agree with what Lauren said anymore. But I also want to say that not only do you not want them drifting off, that is very true, but a lot of times students they'll say, okay, I don't have the time to look that up in the dictionary right now. And if they don't know the definition of a certain word, the context of that sentence or paragraph may be lost. Mm-hmm. And so it is just imperative for them to be able to understand each and every aspect of a given sentence, paragraph, or essay, and having that feature built right in is convenient, and as Lauren said, it keeps them focused, which is, as we know as instructors, what we strive to do each and every day.
Yeah, and we see over here, I just clicked on it, on Manager, and it pulls up all these different options. The synonyms, so very helpful for students. Do we have any questions in the chat box? Let me see.
Not yet.
All right. So we'll keep going. If you have any, put them in there. We'll answer you. Okay, so now we'll show you some assignment tools. So if we go back to these different views for students, students can see the different activities shown in the 3 different views. So they have different options. So again, this week view, the unit view, they can see here if anything's due. And you'll see that if it counts towards grade, it's going to be in orange. There's also an option of it being a practice grade, so that's going to be gray. And then it shows if it's completed, and that's in green. So you'll see here that the student did it, so they know that they're done. And then also if we go to the list view, that will have all of that, so the grade, if it's completed, and also number of attempts that they have. So that'll be here. And if this instructor left any comments for the students, they can show that here as well. So each view has different options for the assignments, which is really helpful depending on how students want to access what to do. Okay,
I have a few points that I want to make about the assignments feature. The first is in the courses that I design, the MindTap side, as I said, for these completely online courses, there are 2 sides to every course. There's the MindTap side and the LMS side.
Yeah.
And in Tennessee, we use D2L. Your school might use Blackboard or Canvas, but regardless, Cengage has deep integration with Blackboard and with D2L. And so what I want to stress is that if you want the students to take the MindTap side seriously, you have to let them know that you take it seriously. And how do you do that? You give it weight. In my classes, 50% of their grade is their performance on the MindTap side. The other 50% comes from those what I call higher level thinking activities, open-ended questions in the discussion and in exams, which are in my courses all essay, open-ended questions, essay, answers. And so what you can do on the MindTap side is to build them up piece by piece, building that foundation with the very first assignment and then getting progressively more difficult as you go through. It builds their confidence. They get a good grade on the easier assignment. I'm a historian, so in my history classes, the first one is like a picture. It's, module 1, activity 1 is picturing history. You see a picture, and then the students get to either answer that with a short answer or maybe multiple choice, but then the next time it's more difficult. It's not multiple choice, it's short answer. They might have to write a short essay or something along those lines. So what you do is you build a foundation, that foundational knowledge that's necessary to get them to the more difficult assignments if that's the way you have your course set up. That's just the way I do it in my courses for Tennessee eCampus. The reaction from the student, the feedback has been nothing but positive. The retention rates and the success rates have gone up by 12 to 17% over the past year, and I can tell you that the leadership is very excited about this partnership because we can see the retention and the success that our students are experiencing as a result. And we ask them, what has helped you be successful in this class? And again, either through evaluations or student feedback, I hear again and again the foundational materials on that MindTap side allowed them not only the confidence but the knowledge to go over to the LMS side, or if you're in a classroom to discuss it in person as opposed to a discussion board. But as I said, regardless of method of delivery, these are sound pedagogical practices. And so I just want to encourage you to think about that as you're designing your own course. One other thing I want to say is that, and I was on the history team that built the MindTap for U.S. history, was that it's been my experience dealing with faculty across disciplines that they don't want to build content necessarily. That's really what IT, instructional designers are teamed to do. You put a subject matter expert with an instructional designer, but what MindTap does, they've already got that instructional design component there for you. So what you can do as a faculty member when you're designing your course is to go in and say, I want this, but I don't necessarily want that. And you can manipulate the content and the exercises and the skills, that you want to foster in your students. In other words, it will suit your teaching style. And so I think that's one of the many benefits of MindTap for faculty. I know we're talking about the student experience, but if faculty can spend less time on design and more time on teaching and learning, then everyone wins. And so that's just one aspect that I definitely wanted to mention regarding the assignments. The other thing I would say, and this again is just instructional design best practices, whatever you have on the MindTap side, you should have on the LMS side. In other words, there needs to be uniformity so that students don't get confused, because when they get confused, they get upset, and sometimes they get anxious, and they start emailing you. So the cleaner it is and the more uniform it is, the fewer questions you as the instructor will have to deal with regarding design and technical issues. And I can share with you that that is worth its weight in gold, as I'm sure most on this call would agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you've said, Keith. MindTap, it helps students become better critical thinkers. So, again, we have different assignment apps. We have Applio, we have CNow, and depending on the different textbook you use, there are other apps as well.
Precisely. As I said earlier on this call, students like that ability to customize according to the way they want to learn. Mm-hmm. And that is just critical. And we happen to believe here in Tennessee that based upon the data and anecdotal evidence that the functionality, built into MindTap, these digital learning products, is fundamental to their success. And even just having e-readers as opposed to an entire textbook. Mm-hmm. I would talk to students all the time who said, I'd never cracked the textbook the entire semester. You don't hear that anymore because it's not the entire chapter that you might need to read just for the next class, because that's so non-specific. Know everything that's in Chapter 10 for the next class, and you might not even go over that. Students get frustrated with that. What they like is when you say, this is what we want to go over. And one of the great functions for faculty is data analytics built in. You can go in and see what students are doing, their level of participation, and it also helps you sort of target what it is you want to go over in class. And because let's say the class as a whole is struggling, you can see their recent activity scores. If they're struggling with one particular concept, you can focus your discussion on that in class, or maybe that drives the next discussion board discussion question. But on the flip side of things, students too, they can see their recent activity scores in numerous ways. There are graphs, and Lauren pointed out the 3 different ways to view the assignments. They can know and view their progress each and every time they complete a module activity. And that allows them to focus their study on the things that they have not yet mastered. And I think that, and again, the data backs this up, that has led to increased retention and success for our students. And I think it could do the same for yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll go into one of these quizzes to show you what students can view. So kind of to tie it all together in assignment and studying. So if I see that I didn't even get a 70%, didn't do too well on that. If I click on it and open it, I'm able to review it. So I saw I did pretty badly on this assignment, but now I can go back and see what I need to study and focus on. Because it will tell me what I got right, what I got wrong. And it's taking a little bit time to load. But that allows students, again, like what Keith said, to figure out what they need to focus on when they study, which is helpful.
Absolutely. So I like how you said that, these 2 things are 2 sides of the same coin, really. The assignments and study tools, because the more they do, the better they get at their study tools, the better the assignments, and the better they do on those assignments, the better they're going to do in the study hub. It's all connected, and it drives success.
So here's what an assignment would look like. So we have multiple choice here. We saw that I got that correct. So okay, I'm good with that. Again, all the multiple choice here. Fill in the blank, true, false. And then here's one that I got incorrect, and it tells you the correct answer. So then I can go back. Maybe I can take this word, and I can go to the search app on the side here. And if I enter that in, it'll pull up all the locations where that comes up in the book. So very helpful for students if they need to go back and reread and focus on that.
That is so much better than the index of a print book.
Yes. Not very helpful. Again.
And I say that because I just got finished, about to publish another book, and just got finished doing the index, and I thought, my goodness, let's do this as an e-book next time.
Exactly. Yeah, so here's all the what an activity would look like once they're done and completed it and they wanted to review. So do we have any questions? Keith, did you want to add anything else before we finish up?
No, I think I've covered most of what I wanted to cover.
Okay.
I really am interested to know if there are any questions. It looks like we have one. Do you find more students asking for MindTap if a course says it is optional to buy it? Do they go back to the text? Why is this more expensive? I'll let Lauren answer the last question there. No, if it's optional, the students tend not to use it. And it goes back to what I said earlier, that if you don't see the value, they're not going to see the value. Students want to know what their professors want them to learn, and that's what they go and seek to learn, for the most part. And so if you make it a part of the course and they say to themselves that, okay, the professor is weighting this at 50%, so it must be important. And I tell them why I do that. I don't just say this is yet another cost. It actually is, it's all tied into one thing. So, and again, I'll let Lauren talk about the reasons for the pricing. But the amount of flexibility and functionality that they have that's built in, I tell them that that's why I'm doing it, and the reason, not only that, but if you do the activities on the MindTap side, you will do so much better on the other side. Mm-hmm. So really, when you say that, yes, that only 50%, it's weighted 50% on the MindTap side, but if they don't understand that side, they're not going to do well on the LMS side. So you could almost argue that it's worth more than 50%, if that makes sense to everyone.
Yeah, we usually see if it's not assigned to a student, then they're not going to go into it if they don't have to. So we have a stat around that, which we'll show later, but yeah, so we'll see if it is optional and there's nothing assigned in MindTap, they won't necessarily go into it.
And let me just say, I have data to back this up. I tried it one time without making it mandatory, and the students didn't use it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to settle this question once and for all for myself. And it was a rather robust study. It wasn't just one class. I mean, this was an in-depth study that we did, and almost to a student, I would say 80 to 85% did not go in because there's a cost associated with it. And so if there's a cost and there's no benefit to them, they see that as a, for lack of a better phrase, a lose-lose.
Yeah.
That's how they view it.
Yeah. On the expense side, it obviously will differ course by course, and I'm not too sure. I think you'll have to reach out to your learning consultant to get more information on the pricing aspect. But usually I think it's used books will be cheaper just because they keep getting passed on and on, whereas MindTap isn't really used and they have to buy it new each time. But yeah, so reach out to your learning consultant and they'll be able to help with that. If you don't know who that is, I can help you as well when we're done. There's
another question, can students pull it up on devices other than the computer? Lauren, I'm sure you want to answer that one.
Yeah, they don't have full capability. Again, they can get the mobile app and they can do the flashcards, notifications, quizzing on there, but yeah, it's mainly for computer. They don't have the full capability.
The main thing that students, and again, this is research-backed information, there are two things that students want to use the mobile app for, and that is grades and upcoming assignments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the third, it's way down, but the third is access to the syllabus at any point. But it's by far the top two, grades and notifications or announcements that go straight to their phone or their mobile device, as opposed to them having to log in and check yet another email. It's even better than social media because it's directly targeted to the students in that particular class.
All right, so we'll go back to the PowerPoint. So this is the statistic I was talking about. So if students will spend 50% more time working in MindTap, if it counts for at least 20% of their grades. So if you as an instructor assign 20% of MindTap for their students' grades, then they're 50% more likely to spend that much more time in MindTap. So that was a survey Cengage Learning did of over 500 instructors using MindTap. So very helpful. So if you do assign, your students will be more likely to go in there and use it. So we went over the important study tools and assignments from a student's perspective. There are also a lot of tools and resources available for students if they are in need of help. Again, we don't want them coming to you every single time they can't find something on there, and you might not have that answer readily available. So again, that drop-down box and that question mark within MindTap are very helpful for students. And also we have this digital course support website. So here's the link, cengage.com/dcs/MindTap. This will have self-training videos for students and instructors for yourself. Also, links to these webinars will be on there, and then also instructor and student user guides. So if you as an instructor wanted to print out user guides or getting started guides for your students, those are readily available right there. And then also very, very helpful is this MindTap Educator Studio, and this ties perfectly along with what we've been talking about. This will allow you as an instructor to experience MindTap as a student. So if you want to get in there and view it and see what your students will be looking at, that's a possibility. So again, there's that link there. I'll put it in the chat box when we're done. But with that, again, you'll learn how to look at the learning path, use these Mind apps, and then you can track your own progress as a student. So again, are there any questions, Keith, or did you want to add anything else before we wrap up?
There are no other questions in the chat box that I see, and the only thing I would like to add is to thank my colleagues on the line for participating in this call.
Yes, thank you for joining us. So again, you're going to get a link to the recording of this. There is the link to the digital course support site. Again, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us.